Radhe Krishna, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Welcome to our 51st Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam episode. How often in our lives we would have come across situations where our views or opinions, perspectives clash with others, maybe the people who are in majority or who are in power, and yet we don't want to fall for their perspective, their views, but we are compelled to take that side. For example, in our childhood, there may be a group of friends who may want to do something different. We may not want to do that particular activity, yet just because of the peer pressure, we end up doing so. In our professional lives, as we grow up, there are instances where our superiors, our peers, our colleagues may want to do something different. We would be totally against that particular idea, yet because the majority is doing something, we may follow suit. The fear of getting isolated or the lack of confidence just by the fact that, there are 10 people doing this, so I may be wrong if I don't do this particular thing. These are some of the reasons why we end up following the so-called majority or the people in power or the influencers, without realizing the fact that this may, or in most cases this actually leads us to a wrong path, to a different direction in our lives, different than what we intend to do from the bottom of our heart. So, is there some story, some personality from our rich Puranas who withheld all these pressures, who stood apart from the crowd or the bandwagon effect, as this is called? Thirukkolur Penpillai is comparing herself with such a devotee who stood apart, who was on one side, the entire world was on the other side, was against him. It's none other than the 5-year-old devotee Prahlada. Her Bhakti Rahasyam statement is, "Did I say he is here also, like Prahlada?" Now let us see the story of Prahlada to understand the Bhakti Rahasyam statement. Now, Prahlada was the son of the demon king Hiranyakashyap. Hiranyakashyap wanted to be the most powerful figure in the entire universe, and he had a special hatred towards Lord Vishnu, because Lord Vishnu, in the form of a boar or Varaha avatar, as it is popularly known as, he had killed Hiranyakashyap's brother Hiranyaksha. So this brother had that revenge tendency, and he looked at Vishnu as his staunch enemy. Now he performed various austerities and penances to obtain some boons from Lord Brahma to become the most powerful personality in the entire universe. So he, by the power of his austerities and penances. So the point here is, even though austerities and penances are to be done for good causes, there are some outliers, there are some personalities whom we see have misused these great practices for wrong causes. So Hiranyakashipu asks for this boon from Lord Brahma, that he should never be killed by a creature who has been created by Lord Brahma. Now Lord Brahma is the creator. Every being has come from him. So our demon king thinks he is wise by asking Brahma that he should be killed by no creature which has been created by him. Secondly, he asks that he should not be killed during the daytime or the night time. He should not be killed on the land or in the sky. And he should not be killed by any weapons. Now, Lord Brahma, just to honor the penances which Hiranyakashipu had undergone, he grants these wishes. Now Hiranyakashipu thinks that he is extremely wise and he has got the entire power, but he did not have that wisdom to acknowledge that there was Lord Vishnu, who was the supreme power, who was beyond Lord Brahma as well. Now with this acquired power, he starts tormenting the entire universe. All the people, all the subjects are held in utmost fear. Even the gods of the natural elements fear him. So that was the terror he could strike just because of misusing the results, the boons of a great practice, that is great penance, great austerities which he had done. Now Hiranyakashipu's introduction, let us leave it here. Now let us go to another story where Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadu was carrying his son. Now when Hiranyakashipu was doing his practices, there was a fight between the demons and the gods, and in this situation, sage Narada took Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadu to his ashram for safety, because the sage knew the secret that the child which was going to be born out of Hiranyakashipu and Kayadu was going to be the greatest devotee. So to ensure that the childbirth happens without any issues from the ongoing war situation, he took Kayadu to safety. Now Kayadu also developed respect and reverence for sage Narada, and she served him very diligently in his ashram. Now sage Narada started instructing and explaining the glories of Lord Vishnu to Kayadu. Whether Kayadu grasped all those stories and the greatness of Lord Vishnu, we don't know, but definitely the unborn child within her, he grasped all these stories, and by the time this great devotee was born, Prahlada, he was already in an exalted position. He knew all these esoteric spiritual content, and the moment he came out, he was engaged in the meditation of Lord Vishnu and chanting his names. It happened inside his mind as a baby. Now times changed when he started going to school. He was instructed in the subjects of modern political science or the science of war, science of managing the kingdom. But as his position was already of a highly esteemed devotee. He had no interest for any worldly knowledge, because he had attained that spiritual knowledge which is beyond this worldly knowledge. Now, when this happened, once Hiranyakashipu asks his son how he was doing at school, what did he learn. To his utter surprise and anger, he heard Prahlada saying that he had learnt that Lord Hari was the supreme. Now, to hear even the name of his staunchest enemy from his son irritated Hiranyakashipu. He thought it was some kind of a saintly influence which was secretly happening in the school. So he instructed the teachers to ensure that this knowledge of Hari, Lord Vishnu, is eradicated from the mind of Prahlada, and he should be fed the knowledge that his father Hiranyakashipu was the supreme. So the teachers took him back. They tried to give the same knowledge as instructed by Hiranyakashipu, but even they could not realize the power of this devotee. What to talk of this child who had accumulated all this highest spiritual content while in the womb itself. So anything which was deviant to this spiritual knowledge was totally useless for Prahlada. In fact, in this phase, he started discoursing to his other friends, demon friends, that this particular knowledge which the teachers were imparting is totally useless, and the knowledge about Lord Hari is the supreme. These children, by their very nature of tamas, that is ignorance, they were not tuning their mind towards Lord Hari, and Prahlada tried to open their minds to the supreme. Now the teachers felt that the situation was going out of their hands, and they immediately rushed to Hiranyakashipu to inform him about this situation. Now Hiranyakashipu thought that this was going out of hand, so he started tormenting little Prahlada. The little kid, maybe 3 or 4 years of age, he was made to undergo various atrocities. Like, he was thrown off a high cliff into the sea. He was left among the poisonous snakes. He was left in terrible cold to freeze. He was also then left among wild elephants so that they could crush him. Various atrocities happened, yet nothing could touch Prahlada just because of his unalloyed devotion to the Lord. So he was also made to burn in the fire, yet fire also couldn't touch him. Now Hiranyakashipu started feeling that threat. He thought that Prahlada was so powerful at the tender age of 5. So with his position under threat, he felt that it was best to confront Prahlada by himself. So on a particular day, he calls Prahlada. He tells him that his father, that is Hiranyakashipu, is the supreme, yet Prahlada was thinking that Lord Vishnu was supreme. So Hiranyakashipu says that if, as you say Prahlad, that Vishnu is everywhere, Vishnu is the supreme, then he should be even present in this particular pillar. So he points out to a pillar in his palace. So can you say if he is here in this pillar? To which Prahlada says, Lord Vishnu is everywhere, and yes, he is in this pillar also. He is here also. I can see him. I can see him through the pillar. It's a very beautiful sentence in Sanskrit where Prahlada says, Stambena drishyate. Stambena drishyate. Stamba is pillar. Stambena drishyate. To which Hiranyakashyap uses the same sentence and says, Stambe na drishyate. I cannot see him in the pillar. So, when Prahlada says that he is able to see him, that was the final moment for Hiranyakashyap. He just, with all his might, he just strikes that particular pillar. Because he is fully filled with anger, jealousy. And now he also feels that his position is under threat. So with all that negative energy is coming out, he smashes that pillar with his full strength. And he is surprised to hear, rather everyone in the palace, everyone in fact in the entire universe is totally terrified to hear a terrible roar. It's a sound which they haven't heard till now. Such an angry sound. It was the Lord Vishnu who comes out in the form of Narasimha. So this is the Narasimha avatar, where the Lord comes as in a form which is half lion, that is in the top half of the body it resembles a lion, and the bottom half of the body is of a man. So Nara Simha avatar. Even Hiranyakashyap is a bit dumbstruck to see such a huge figure. But since he is puffed up with pride, ego, arrogance, he still puts up a fight with Lord Narasimha. Finally, the Lord has his way. Not countering with Brahma's boons, he takes Hiranyakashyap on his lap, which is neither on the land nor in the sky. He comes out at an hour which is the twilight hour, which is just between the time which is neither morning, which is neither night. It is just the time after the sun has set. He himself is not a creature who has been created by Lord Brahma, and with his nails cannot be regarded as weapons, but with his nails, which are sharp, he just tears apart Hiranyakashyap. That's the end of the demon and his atrocities to devotee Prahlada, Bhakta Prahlada. Now the entire universe again is dumbstruck seeing this. They are yet to come out of what they have seen, and nobody has the guts to approach and calm down Lord Narasimha. So sage Narada requests Prahlada to approach the Lord, because it was for Prahlada that Lord Narasimha took this avatar. So he asks Prahlada to calm down Lord Narasimha. Then Prahlada goes, he bows in reverence to the Lord, he calms him down, and then there is a subsequent conversation that takes place between the Lord and Prahlada. So this beautiful incident of devotion captures Thirukkolur Penpillai's attention, where she says that this little boy, 5-year-old boy, could realize that the Lord is there everywhere. He could point out the evidence that the Lord was there in this particular pillar, and not to go against the devotee's commitment. The Lord appeared for him, such a great devotee, where he is and where I am as a normal human being. I also want to cultivate that devotion which Prahlada had, but no. So this is her lamentation. So she compares herself with the devotion possessed by Prahlada. That was the content of our Bhakti Rahasyam number 51. Now, lessons for us plenty. In this situation, it was the world against Prahlada. The world on one side, Prahlada on the other side. There was a constant narrative being fed that this demon king is the greatest. Yet, because of his pure spiritual knowledge bestowed by the great sage Narada, Prahlada could come out of this. So, he in fact stood out of the crowd. He did not bow to the peer pressure that, oh, if his friends told your father is the greatest, he never bowed to them. He had a different opinion, he stood by it. So that's one learning for us, where if we have faith in what we want to present, or our ideas, our perspectives, if we have that confidence that we are having the right knowledge, it could be easier for us to stand out of the crowd. Secondly, for the kids, this is a very interesting story, and this is a very interesting learning for them, where the story of Prahlada could be fed right from the womb. So what we know is, with this great sage Narada acting as the guru, when he gave the right instructions, the child from the womb caught these esoteric spiritual principles, and he was able to apply it when he came into this material world. So this could be a great eye-opener for people who are going for children, that they can feed the right kind of devotion, the right kind of knowledge to the children even when they are in the womb. And the children inside the womb have tremendous capacities which we can't even think of. Learning number 3 is we have to, the time has come where we have to project Prahlada. There was other 5-year-old devotee called Dhruva, whom we had discussed in one of the Bhakti Rahasyams earlier. So Prahlada, Dhruva, all these great kids have demonstrated that they can see, they can experience Lord Hari in just 5 years of age. So they can be the real superheroes for our kids to emulate. We have a lot of imaginary characters where the kids' minds get entangled and they feel that these heroes are the greatest. But why entangle the little minds into something which is imaginary rather than something which has happened, which is a part of our ancient Sanatana Dharma or Dharmic culture? So if these stories are embedded into the kids at the tender age, they will definitely as they progress in their lives, they will definitely ensure that they should not fall for peer pressure, and ensure that their life is set on the right track, on the spiritual path. So that was all from our current Bhakti Rahasyam. Stay blessed, stay devoted, and stay tuned for our next Bhakti Rahasyam. Radhe Krishna, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha.